Christ.
Right?
It looks like he's mounting it.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of is.
Jesus fuck. Like, I'm assuming there's porn of that, but like, I don't want to watch that. Jesus hell.
Hi, and welcome to Blank Bodies, a Vampire the Masquerade V5 tabletop and horror podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and as always, I'm joined by...
We are getting into the horror right away on that one. I'm John.
Hi, Sarah.
And I'm not giving any context for that conversation.
None. No context this time. Haha.
You don't need none.
None.
But you do need a little context, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, we're doing a ye olde relaxed fit episode.
Yeah, we're chill vibing, and we're talking about our first impressions of the new Player's Guide that just came out this week, the PDF.
Yeah. For some reason, only in the US and not internationally. That is my one gripe.
Because we're special.
No, it's just I don't understand why companies are still doing these staggered releases for PDFs. Like, books, I understand there's distribution and printing. The PDF doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's a little strange. I understand if it's like we're like language differences, but like I don't know why the Canadians have to wait.
Fuck you, Australia.
Oh man, I'm sorry, but homies, we
I
have
know,
a couple Australian homies.
No, I love Australia. That's why partially I'm like, why are they getting shafted? Why? They're delightful peoples. But anyways, Player's Guide. We're talking about it. I'm gonna be honest, my brain is soup at the moment, so I haven't in-depth read everything, and I don't have a academic thesis statement and an abstract for y'all, but we've read through it. Hunter did, so we read through it. We're gonna talk about our thoughts, feelings, things that we think are cool, things that we're just a little like, not keen on.
Yeah, I put a script for this one together. I specifically noted some details and some things that I thought would be cool to touch on, but we're also just gonna be yammering about stuff, so
yeah, there's a lot in the book, and there are portions of the book that we will later on do dedicated episodes to.
There's a lot of that, which we'll talk about at the end. Also, I think it's fair to note that this is not technically the final version of the book that we've been reading. The very first edition of the PDF that came out will be edited, and there will be fixes before the final book comes out, so I didn't get into like the higgledy-piggledy numbers, and that seems good or bad.
May I give a small shout out?
Oh, the what numbers?
The higgledy-piggledy.
You never heard that before?
No.
The piggly-wiggly.
I know the Piggly Wiggly, but the higgledy what?
Piggledy. It's like a very old-timey phrase.
Piggledy?
Yes. I'm quietly hoping it's not a racist term.
I'm really hoping it's not.
Higgledy-piggledy. It's in confusion or disorder. Bits of paper hung higgledy-piggledy on the furniture and walls.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh. That does yes and my other favorite old-timey phrase, which is I got the morbs, which unfortunately became like relevant again because of the memes and time is a flat circle.
Yeah.
But you know, the morbs, we have them. Anyways, small shout out for me, Supermarket Ape it has been kind enough to put in some errata edits into a PDF and then give the book back to me.
Oh, nice.
So thank you, friend.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Anyway, we're not talking about English today. We're talking about a book written in English today.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
So, the Player's Guide, what is it? It is a guide of some new basic rules for character creation, for coterie creation, and some optional stuff for when you're making a character, when you're starting a new game. I think that's the best summation of what this is. It's not a core book. You still need the core book. But if you're a player, this would probably be a good second book.
I mean,
to look at.
I have it filed in my core books folder.
That's
but
fair.
that is for me is like the official core book, the V5 companion, this, and then the Anarch and the Camarilla book, which like I feel like all of those together, you can run literally anything at this point. Good job.
Yeah, I will say I didn't go page to page back and forth. A lot of the content that was in that companion was either reprinted here or an alternative version was presented here. The good news is a lot of the stuff in this book we just haven't happened to do episodes on yet, so keeping an ear out for a lot of it as we go through it, because there's a lot of stuff which is like we haven't done much on this yet.
Or it's things that were like, it's in the pipeline for us to do episodes, and we're just like, that would be weird to do half an episode now and then half an episode in like 4 months. Like, that's weird. So let's just not do that.
Yeah. So I will acknowledge our sources, which is the pre-production PDF of this book.
Hell yeah.
The Player's Guide. Cool. And content warning, not really. There's some same kind of stuff we talk about. Some sadness, people might die, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, this one's
general World of Darkness tomfoolery, nothing particularly heavy. So
Yeah.
Yay!
All right, so let's jump in, and I think what people are most interested in when this book was coming out is clans.
Mm-hmm.
So what clans are in there? Well, these are all clans that have been released already, but were not in the core book. So
Which is, I must have misunderstood. I thought they were putting all of the clans in here.
that's what the word on the street was before. That's what I was expecting too, but it seems like no.
Huh, okay.
Yeah. So I think having them all condensed, all of the not core clans, I'd hate to say that. It's like pillar clans, I guess, would make more sense.
Yeah.
Like having all the pillar clans in the base core book and then having the player's guide have all the other books or other clans kind of works out okay. So I'm like, I'm not mad.
I get the idea because this book does not have character creation rules. Like you could sit down and make a character with just this book. This book is probably 80% new or optional character creation rules. Like it's a lot of extra rules. So this is like an expansion on character creation from the core book, but you still need the core book. So I see why they didn't put a lot of that in there. There's no reason to make people buy those pages twice.
Right.
It saves on shipping. It's more ecologically friendly to not have to ship this fucking manifesto.
For sure.
But
It would have been kind of cool to get a tome, though.
Yeah, look, if they want to make an advanced Vampire the Masquerade book where it's like got a fancy cover and the pages on the outside have got like gold gilding and it's like 100 fucking bucks.
And it's like
But it's got
1,400
yeah,
pages.
but it's literally as thick as I imagined the Book of Nod to actually be.
Yeah.
In game, I'm like, yeah, I will probably buy that because I'm a masochist.
That'd be sick.
It would be sick. Nobody would be allowed to touch it. It is on the shelf. But you know, that might happen one day as a treat.
Yeah. So what did we get? So this one's got the Banu Hakim, the Hekata, the Lasombra, the Ministry, the Ravnos, the Salubri, and the Zamits.
Hells yeah.
So these have all been featured in previous books and supplements. We know Ravnos, Salubri, Zamits were all in that free V5 companion. Pretty much everything from that V5 companion will show up here. Also, one thing I thought was kind of weird, we also get Caitiffs, Thinbloods, Ghouls, and Mortals. But for some reason, Caitiffs and Thinbloods aren't with the vampire clans. They're in a separate section with the Mortals and the Ghouls called the Cast-Offs.
I understand that in the context of the meta plot where they're trying to be like, hey, so these groups of characters are not seen as prestigious as like quote-unquote full-blooded vampires. Have fun with your class structure metaphors with your game on that.
Yeah, actually, I kind of like that they did that because it does kind of, whether it's psychological or not, I don't know, or whatever, it kind of does make that separation of like, these are the clans of vampires and these are the other things.
And then there's Todd.
Yeah, which is kind of cool because it gives you that meta knowledge without actually giving you that meta knowledge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, my only issue there is that humans or mortals and ghouls have different point spreads. Like when you make these characters, you are starting at a different baseline, whereas Thinbloods and Caitiffs are basically mechanically vampires. It's just their social role, and like all vampires, they have different abilities and builds. Yeah. And so I could see if this is for a new player, that being kind of confusing.
Well, here's the other editing note on that. So the like traditional clans, they follow the same format for character creation of character rules. Caitiff and Thinbloods follow variance rules.
Do they?
So yeah, Caitiff is like a slightly subtle change, and then Thinbloods is like more in depth of a thing. So I can consider if you're brand new to World of Darkness, you're brand new to Vampire, and you're being taught the formats, like not wanting to completely fuck over people learning stuff, being like, yeah, here's the rules, but you wanted to play this character, so therefore you have this extra set of rules to learn on top of everything else. I can understand truncating that into its own section as a like, hey, so here are the characters that you can play. They are part of the world, but these ones have slightly different math, so we're just going to put them in one little section.
Interesting. I've made a Caitiff before, and I guess maybe I didn't notice the difference there.
It's mostly tied into like the disciplines and how they work and like the clan bane stuff.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fair. But
so like Caitiff is like slightly different, and then Thinblood is like, you have a whole different set of bullshit.
Yeah, I know they have different rules, like you can buy into like walking in the sun, but I thought those kind of just worked out as disciplines from my cursory glance.
No, those are like merits and thaws that you have to buy.
Okay.
For Thin Bloods, and then like there's rules for being able to walk into the sun now as a caitiff, which are really cool. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah. So that's the clans. I think it's good if you don't want to have to track down like. Who was it? Ministry was in like the Chicago book.
Ministry was in the Anarch book. Bana Hakim was in the Camarilla book. Lasombra was in the Chicago book, and then Hekata was all in the Cult of the Blood Gods.
Yeah, so that's I think it's good to put them all in one place, even though I have most of those books. If I'm making a character, I don't want to read like 2 pages out of this book, 2 pages out of this book just to pick clan. So condensing that in is nice. Also having the V5 companion stuff in an official book instead of like either a UPS store printed PDF on the shelf or
just staring at me as you say that.
I almost did it, but
I just like having physical copies of things.
My laziness paid off yet again.
Fuck you.
So one of my go ahead.
Real quick, actually, I wanted to jump back to the cast-offs because I jumped to the page and I was looking at it, and actually, it looks like it's just like it mostly talks about what they are and then gives like their specific types of merits in their merits and flaws. It doesn't like do different types of building. It looks like.
Well, yeah, because the Caitiff and the Thin Blood stuff's in the core book for building. So I think having
that's kind of cool that it did that.
So having like an expansion on that and building them out more because they're not like pillar or official like clans. So just being like, hey, here's a little bit more information. Here's more things you can do with it.
Yeah.
Pip, here's a nugget.
Also, page 124, it has the cast-off summary sheet, and it's really cool. I like how it's organized, but the ghouls, under their discipline, it has the little level 1 power and Dominator's discipline.
Yeah, that is.
What does that look like?
Under which?
Did we find a secret penis?
No, that definitely looks like a I don't know what they're called.
It's a ball gag.
Let me see. Yeah. Let me see.
It looks like
it's got a ring.
Ball gag.
It's got a ring on it.
It is okay.
So it looks like a chastity belt.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with that symbol, right?
Or
I think
collar, maybe.
I was thinking they were going for a collar with an O-ring, but okay, as somebody TLDR that is involved in the kink community, usually when you have a collar with an O-ring, you have the D ring to like base it on the collar, and then you have the O hanging down. So having the O in the center like that, it straight up looks like one of those ringed ball gags.
Yeah, that's what I was
that
thinking.
You can like still stick a penis in. So technically, yes, this was technically a secret penis thing.
Oh no!
Oh no!
We caught you!
We caught you being horny on Vampire. Weird. Weird how that works. Oh no. But yeah, also the discipline spread chart that they have for all of the clans at the beginning of the clan section.
That's cool.
I love it. Like visually, aesthetically nice. I love that as having a storyteller reference for people who are like not used to this or they don't have a clear understanding about like some of the changes that have happened from V20 and third ed into V5, where it's like, here you go. Here's a chart. I love being able to be like, here is an infographic.
Yeah, give us more charts. Just put all the information right in one spot where it's easy to reference.
It's like, I love fluff. I love reading things, but sometimes, goddammit, I am drunk in storytelling and I just want a fucking chart.
Yes.
I mean, don't go wild with it. We don't need a shadow run.
Don't need a shadow run, but a couple of charts here and there just to kind of like, hey guys, just so we all can agree and have some consistency, this is the thing. And it goes, okay, cool. Thank you, Dad. But going on.
Yeah, so one of the coolest things, one of the next sections of the book that I love is they introduce clanbane variants.
They're so good.
So each vampire clan has its own clanbane. We bring these up in our clan episodes, but essentially it is a specific negative trait that each clan has. I think one of the most famous one is Ventru and their rarefied palate where they can only drink from specific people. Lasombra have their digital stuff goes fucky around them. They each have their own. These are alternatives if the ones that you have in your current game don't work for your current game, or you don't work with the kind of story you want to tell, don't work with the kind of character you want to make, or even some of them if you just want to change the world up a little bit. I think one of the best examples they gave in it was the new Lasombra one, just because they make a good point. It's like, yeah, having technology go awry around you really sucks when you're playing a Dark Ages game and the cell phone hasn't been invented yet, so how does that fuck with them?
Right.
So yeah, I like these. So I would say, first of all, these are optional. They have clan banes for all 14 clans. And if these are used, they replace the old one. Now, I mean, if you want to be a dick ST and just make them take both, your game.
You said 14?
I believe there's 14 in this book when I counted. There's 14 alternatives.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, you're right. Okay. My brain was just like, 14? What? I'm just so ingrained to hear 13.
Yeah.
There's the 13 clans. So then when I heard 14, I was just like, what? Oh. But no,
Weird.
you are correct. I'm sorry.
Haha. Once again, I remembered how to count. But yeah, these
Look,
also...
that's not guaranteed.
These also need to be approved by your ST. So these are not something you just take at character creation unless your ST's like, yeah, use them if you want. This is something to ask about, or if you're an ST, I would add this to a session 0 talk. Be like, if you want these, let me know, because some of them can change the world up pretty significantly. Yeah. If all of a clan has these, only some of them, none of them,
Yeah, it's one of those, like, I also just like having these, I just like giving players options to, like, be creative, because some of these clan banes can tie really well into themes that you're writing for your character, and just be like, I'm going to double down on this being a problem because of da-da-da, or you're just like, oh, well, if I go with this clan bane opposed to this one, I can write a character that delves into these topics more, or, you know, being more accommodating for people's boundaries, because some people, like, don't want to play a Jason Todd character, I guess, going with the Banu Hakim, where they're like the Judgment Bane, where it's like you have to do a diablerie, and it's like some people don't like that idea of I have to eat my friends.
Yeah.
So now you have an option to be like, okay, well, if that's too spicy for you, like, absolutely not a problem. We have now we have a thing where you're poisonous to mortals instead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sick. Thank you for giving options.
Yeah.
Sick.
And I picked a couple that I thought were specifically interesting or specifically useful. My personal favorite is the new Ravnos one.
Oh, the Ravnos one is so good.
So the old Ravnos Bane, we haven't touched on them yet. So for those who are unaware, the Ravnos Bane is that they have to sleep in a new place every night, at least within a week, or they take damage instead of healing when they sleep, is like a quick summation.
Yeah, you take ag damage.
Yeah.
Just because, like, just forcing the transient and nomadic and or refugee status on the clan, and which stuff I find really, really neat and can lead to interesting, like, logistical struggles within a story, but it's such a fundamental thing with a character. Either it is going to be a major plot point and actually be interesting, or as a Hunter has talked to us about in his games, where I just spent money on getting an RV and this has never been a problem for me.
Yeah, and also I find it's too easy to subvert versus a lot of the other clan veins. It's also, I feel like, unless you're telling one specific kind of story, it's one to make interesting and not just feel like the ST being like, haha, I gotcha. You said you stayed at the house twice in a row. Take damage. Like, it kind of sucks. I mean, you can do that with a lot of things in this game, but that one specifically just never felt fun to me. That's why my character, I went out of my way to just buy my way out of not worrying about it. But this new one is great. I think it ties more into the clan's, like, trickster background. It's called Unbirth Name. So whatever, it gives anyone who holds the Ravnos' pre-vampire name power over them, much like how Fae spirits, if you can learn their true name, or Mr. blah, blah, blah from Superman for comic book reference. But whatever your name was when you died and turned into a vampire, they now have to keep that secret. And anyone who speaks a Ravnos' unbirth name to their face receives a bonus equal to the Ravnos' Bane severity to resist their discipline powers, and the Ravnos suffers an equal penalty to resist supernatural powers used by the opponent. So if you learn a Ravnos' name, you have power and protection from them.
You kind of have
pretty
them,
cool.
have them by the twig and berries. You're just like, got this.
I feel like that's so cool. It does give it a little more that, like, trickster, like, I'm in the shadows and I'm always plotting and you don't really know who I truly am, and it's cool.
And it's like, listen here, Jerry. It's just like, fuck.
Oh, fuck.
Damn it.
How did you learn my name was not
Xenothrax.
Yeah, there you go.
Listen here, Jerry.
No! Call me Xenothrax!
Fuck.
I found the teas were kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the tea area. The Toreadors and Zamitzi both have neat ones. Well, Toreadors is kind of brutal, actually. It's so their old one was you get fixated on something, right?
You get hyper fixated and you might just die.
Yeah, you could just fucking be like, well, I'm here till the sun comes up. Neat. This one also kind of brutal, but in a different way. So essentially it's like, Toreador feel everything and like, I'm connected by emotion and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these homies like feel it too much. And they actually feel the physical pain and damage that they inflict on their victims while feeding. And then they receive that damage. And oftentimes it's aggravated. And I'm just kind of like, hold up, that's brutal.
I love that.
That
like,
is
I'm feeding
mean.
off of you, and now I have to use the blood to try and not be like hurt, which means I'm gonna be having to feed again.
It's very like Byron-esque goth, just tragic bullshit.
You would have to find a character who's almost like trying to find the nicest way possible to feed on people and like the most sustaining.
Right. Yeah. Take Iron Gullet and just be a bagger with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you're just really into like cultivating like intimate relationships with the people you feed on and making it as like sensual or pleasant or like, spiritually fulfilling, however the fuck you want to thread that needle.
So this one's real sad and actually jumps up into a further topic which we'll go into earlier. But what was that feeding type?
Oh yeah, I'd say we should bring that up again later.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll put a pin in that. Hopefully our ADHD asses will remember.
Yeah. All right. Well, in that case, we're jumping into the Zamitzi, which is actually I really, really like, because I was not a fan of the whole like you suffer your clan bane. There's something in the scene that you have to own now. Because I don't know. I think it would really, really suck to be like you're in the prince's office and you roll your clan. You suffer from your clan bane, and they're like his accounting book. You're like, I'm supposed to steal the prince's accounting book or somehow obtain it? What the fuck?
So
yeah, that could be a good or bad. Like, I like the clan bane of just like draconic grabby hands.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I love that.
This is mine now. It's very like I am a cat energy, but like I can also understand players just being like, man, I don't want to fuck with that.
For older players may know too, and I always thought this was weird. I understand why they took the old Ravnos clanbane away of them having the grabby hands, basically.
Well, like that was a kleptomania thing as opposed to the way the Zamitzi are, where it's more of a
I want to possess it. I want it to be mine.
Yeah, it's much more of a pushing of boundaries and domination and force thing, as opposed to like weird xenophobic stereotypes about the Roma people.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is either way, like I always thought that was kind of a lame clan bane to begin with.
Just be like,
so
I just like to steal things.
I understand why they wanted to replace it, whether or not I was a fan of the nomadic one or not, which again, also is kind of a weird stereotype. I think they could have, this new clan bane's better.
Yeah.
But for the Ravnos. But I always thought it, to me at least, it felt like they kind of like, well, we like this idea, but we can't give it to the Ravnos. What if we twist it a little bit and give it to the Zamits? And I also didn't really think it worked. I don't like this clan is, no matter who they are, just like, oh, those are the thieves. Oh, those are the guys who are implored to take things.
So in the Zamitzi, it wasn't like a steal. It was like you could straight up be like, the storyteller's like, oh, there's a beautiful painting on the wall in this person's house. You want it. You need to have it. You could straight up be like, I'll buy that off of you right now.
And just drop like
$200,000.
Drop several bands of Benjamin.
Yeah.
Just
yeah, that's mine now. Okay.
Yeah.
That would work for it.
Okay.
But I just thought like, I don't know. I didn't want to have to deal with that. I like the flavor of a Zamitzi being like, no, I want to possess everything around me. But I think that if you're going to play Zamitzi and that's how you want to run your story, like just role play that. I don't think you need to necessarily have to have like a mechanical thing. This one's way better anyway. It's essentially the folkloric bane of you have to be invited into places, because Zamitzi are so like all about proper etiquette and manners and hospitality, and to the point that they have to respect other people's.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool.
I do really like a lot of the flavoring for Zamitzi in V5, where it's very old Bram Stoker Dracula, like old world manners, but also old world authoritarian, just kind of like, no, this is mine because I am the land. I am the indomitable, like, it me. Hi.
Yeah.
I'm the one serving cunt here. This is mine now. Like, you peasants are lucky to be around. It's like hanging out with a drag queen
Yeah.
in certain ways. Or like a really just flamboyant person, or just of somebody who's just very entitled. Yeah, it's really just dealing with entitlement.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, I'm God now. Give.
This is mine.
This is mine. Like, not even give.
I will-
They're not even saying give me. They're just like, this is mine, taking it and fucking off.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just kind of, yeah, it's like also kind of dealing with a cat.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I just like the idea of like having to be invited, and you can still go in. It's not like there's an invisible barrier, but I want to say like they take willpower damage and they take their clan severity or their bane severity in minuses to their disciplines, I think, while they're there.
Which, as somebody who suffers from the British manners problems, like, I feel this in my soul.
They're just so uncomfortable about it.
So uncomfy. You're just like I don't even like driving in towards somebody's house unless I've already texted to be like, hey, homie, are we good to hang out at this time? Okay, cool, I'm on my way. And then
I will be like halfway there and be like, hey, yo, we're still hanging out, right? Okay,
yeah,
good.
and then I'll drive, and then I get in front of your house, and I will text again going like, hey, cool, am I good to come in? Like, I will text people before I call them, be like, hey, are you good for a call? Like, I can't fucking deal with that shit, so I'm just like, So this one hurts my brain.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like it. I think it's cool.
Another one I think is really important. We talked about it on our Malkavian episodes and our pre-Malkavian mental illness episode, but a lot of people don't necessarily feel super comfy or even want to play a clan that's all like, my power is mental illness. So the new clan bane, I think, is really interesting there. They get, and their new one is called Unnatural Manifestations. And whenever they use a discipline power, mortals in close proximity, about the same room or equivalent, are spooked, and any social interaction with them, apart from intimidation, suffers a dice penalty equal to their bane severity.
I love that. They're supernaturally forced to be Patrick Bateman.
Yes. And so like, you still get that feeling of there's something off with this person. This person's making everyone uncomfortable, but it's not like, oh, this person's schizophrenic and so everyone's scared of them. It's a little more tame. It's a little more like, everyone's been around someone who just feels a little creepy, feels a little weird. It's less like you're going into...
It's kind of like a obvious predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
in
like...
a bit different flavoring.
Yeah, because it's kind of like... I don't know how much other people deal with true crime stuff. Like, we all do, obviously. But listeners, But like, if you watch documentaries or you see photos of people that have done like super fucked up crimes, you just like see footage of them and your lizard brain goes, that's a shark. So you're like, something is I got the squickies, I'm not
I should be afraid of that.
This is a red flag. I don't know what's wrong. They've technically done nothing wrong, but I'm still just like, I'm in danger.
Yeah. So I really like that one.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And then the other one I wanted to note was the new Nosferatu one.
Yes.
Nosferatu, we won our clan poll, so we'll be talking about them next.
Hey.
But they are so ugly. Looking at them is a masquerade breach, which for a lot of reasons I could see people not either. That's just hard to play in a certain game, where they might not like the implications that might have towards someone who's disabled.
Yeah, because we don't want to get into like gross, ugly laws, which was a thing that was in the U.S. for many years. That's why if you look at old timey photos, you don't see people in like wheelchairs or fat people, because it was literally illegal to just be out and looking fucked up.
Yeah.
And also just like weird eugenics-y things, and also just like tying in morality into looks is squicky and not comfy.
Well, this new one is really interesting. It's called Infestation, and so no matter where they go or try to hide, swarms of vermin follow the Nosferatu. Yes. Some are plagued by swarms of rats. Others act as a beacon to roaches, while still others cannot get rid of the damned pigeons or their leavings.
Yes!
In many cases, all of the above and more. No matter where they make their haven, they soon drive away all other inhabitants. And even a quick stop can provide unwelcome guests that stay long after the sewer rat leaves.
That's amazing.
So essentially, it doubles down on this person's fucking gross, or this person has like a gross energy just around them, bad enough that like vermin, critters like swarm around them. But you don't have to necessarily, like, you could have an insanely attractive Nosferatu who's just like, yes, I don't know why the roaches sleep with me at night.
Or just like an attractive person that for some reason every place they go there's just bed bugs now.
Yeah, if you could.
I know.
No,
I like
I
this.
do not consent to that.
No.
This with Living Hive makes it way easier to play a Candyman, which was
Oh,
when I
hell
first
yeah.
thought I would love to play a Candyman and just be like, they're just bees. There's just beehives. I don't know why we're in downtown Chicago and there's a beehive.
There's just
And-
tons of
Yeah,
bees.
That's cool.
God, you could also have really fun with playing with like regional pests depending on like where you're setting your chronicle.
Yeah.
Because my brain immediately went to having a Nosferatu like in Australia and they're just constantly plagued by magpies. Just like fucking dive bombing and just like fucking with people. You're like, it's 4 a.m. Why are you here?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Just like get weird menace creatures in like different areas. Because like, you know, in the US we could have like a Nosferatu that would be plagued by like really aggressive raccoons. Like everyone's like, oh, it's cute. Oh no.
No, it's
Oh.
not. It's not cute.
Not cute. Because yeah, there's a lot of animals that you're like, this is cute, but like they're a problem.
Yeah.
And you can also have
Ants.
fun fucking with that. Oh my god, a Nosferatu has just got ants.
Just hundreds of thousands of ants everywhere they go.
And somehow they end up with like ants that are like invasive ants. So it's like
Yes.
doubly a problem.
Yes.
But
I
then,
do like the
then you'd have to
idea
deal
of-
with the pun every time your character walked in the room. Another player would just point at you and say, "This is why we have ants."
Oh yeah, that's true.
Look, I'm here for more Archer jokes. Archer, I feel like, has gotten its flowers, but like it's falling out of consciousness. I'm like, no, bring it back, guys.
Bring it
Bring it
back.
back. Bring it back.
Do it again.
It's just been
Bring it back.
on so long.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it, but every time I try and I've tried to rewatch it twice, and I get to a point where I'm just like, I'm gonna do something else now.
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's
The Sea Lab episode, though.
Sea
I was
Lab's really
happy.
good. Hell yeah.
No, they did a crossover episode where the Archer
Mhm.
goes to Sea Lab.
Oh.
I'm gonna make a Nosferatu that's Willard.
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
yes.
I actually did that already,
yes.
but this makes it even more.
Yeah.
That makes it more of a thing.
yes.
I also dislike how hot Crispin Glover is. Like, I know
know.
everyone's like, oh my god,
Always.
he's so creepy and weird. And I'm just like, I partially blame Charlie's Angels for this, but I'm like, guys, he's low key kind of hot. Like,
That's fair.
That's fair.
He's creepy and weird. But
He's
like,
creepy and
also,
weird.
Yeah.
but also I love the Willard remake. It's really good.
This
Uh-huh.
is a conversation we were having last night about not him specifically, but
Mhm.
there are we were just watching some old like weird old music videos and stuff, and we were noting that like there were some like real 90s like real horny bands
Mhm.
where but like there are bands like Bloodhound Gang where the guy has like no riz and like
Mhm.
his horniness makes him less attractive. But then like that you put on something like Gunther and it's like
Mhm.
this guy is nothing but like creepy and horny, but it kind of gives it a little flair to it. You're like,
It
he
kinda
is
works.
creepy and horny.
Yeah, it's oh god, I was trying to think of another thing like that. Like Mad Mikkelsen's take on Hannibal. Like Hannibal is inherently a very creepy and uncomfortable character. The Hannibal TV series undeniably horny. Like
Yeah.
in a way where I'm like, this is like even the lesbians are like, yeah, no, we get it.
Yeah.
It's like
Um,
it's a whole thing.
Yeah. So I think the alt banes are
Mhm.
really cool.
Oh yeah, no, there's some really good options in there that can like definitely yes and, but kind of just making a note in your character or in your chronicle of like, are we deciding that we're just gonna completely all flip to the new ones? Is it gonna be a mix match? Are we just gonna stick to the new ones only and that's it?
Yeah.
I like it being a mixed match
Mixed match is great.
because then it's more fun. You can like if someone's trying to. I like the idea of playing a game where you're trying to figure out maybe you don't know, but you're trying to figure things like that out about somebody, so you can use it
Mhm.
against them. Politicking, like
It makes it less obvious which clan everyone
Exactly.
is when you walk in
Yeah.
the room. I was thinking it would be cool if you kept it like the originals are kind of like the default.
Mhm.
And then but like occasionally they just have this different version and no one knows why, and it's just like
Yeah, and I also just really enjoy character interaction, like downtime conversations, and I feel like this would be a perfect vampire downtime conversation, is discussing each other's banes.
mhm.
You know, like we were sitting with friends and you're talking with about each other's like medical problems, or just like, you know, like one person shares a mole and then suddenly everybody in the group's like, yeah, I got this fucking weird mole too. You know, just weird little connections that like help build the coterie together where it's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, you deal with this problem, like how the fuck do you handle that? I can't imagine. You're just like, bro, these fucking pigeons will not leave. I've started to name them.
Yes.
Like
That's Gary. That's Harry. That's Carrie. That's Sherry.
There's Mary over there. Actually, the alternative Banes are probably my favorite thing they introduced in this book new. Really cool idea. I think it gives a lot more options. Definitely allows for a little more considerate play. Might talk about that more in a bit, but I think they're great. I think the other really big thing, other than what clans were going to be in this book that people wanted, were the new disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Before we go to that, can we jump? I was just, again, scrolling through that. I just
Mhm.
realized that they actually have a couple pages dedicated to breaking down the character sheet with, like,
Yeah.
what everything is.
I have a section in the script for that.
Oh,
okay,
shit,
cool. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute then.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other new thing I think people were really excited to hear about were new disciplines.
Sick.
So I picked a couple. I don't know if you guys had favorites. One of the ones I was really excited about were the new obfuscate abilities.
Mhm.
I was equally as excited as I was and like what there is there, as much as I'm like worried it doesn't work out right, but we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
So all the new obfuscate powers are essentially new amalgams that allow you to do more chemistry, which is the Ravnos illusion discipline. So chemistry and Fata Morgana are reprints from the V5 companion. All the V5 companion stuff, I believe, is reprinted here, except the Salubri stuff for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. But you also get 2 new powers. They have Mental Maze, where basically a person, wherever they are, they get lost. Like, if you're in a nightclub and you use that ability in there, it's like the room warps in on himself, and they're just like an endless sea of people dancing and talking, and like they just cannot, their mind will not let them process and escape the place they're in.
Cool.
And
That's
then
sick.
yeah, I was really stoked on it. Then Mind Mask is really cool, and it's basically you can I think this would work great for Malkavians too, but essentially it's like the masks are like fake identities that you can use in the game.
Mhm.
You can do these internally.
Mm.
So when someone uses like an ability that reads your mind or anything like that, you have a whole fake all different identity that someone like will try and read your mind, and instead they only see what they want you to see. Have a full fake separate personality that's just, oh, that's when people try and fuck with me.
That's super cool. That's like it's almost like a quote unquote evolution for the new clan bane too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If somebody's trying to learn your real name and is reading your mind for it, you can be like, yeah, I'm Jerry Swash Schmackett. And, you know, I was
what ethnicity is the Smosh Schmackett family?
a pirate.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the best. I was worried where that one was going. You chose the best option.
Oh, I come from the literary pirates.
Yes.
But yeah, that one's really fun. Here's my problem with these though.
Mm-hmm.
So 3/4 of these obfuscate are 3/4 of these abilities are level 3 obfuscate abilities.
Mhm.
So you can only ever have one of them.
Mhm.
Of all these options of book, you only ever get one by core rules of only taking one per discipline level. They're also all amalgams again with Dominate, which makes them really, really expensive. Essentially similar to buying a 4th or 5th dot power. This has been one of my biggest gripes with Ravnos and how they've handled it, is it's just all really expensive and you're kind of locked out of it. And putting them all in the same spot is like really annoying. Like I would love to just go all in with a Ravnos and pick like 2 or 3 of these, but you basically can't because they're all by core rules, because you can't have multiple level 3 obfuscate disciplines this way. So you have to have a lax GST who's going to let you do this. Or
you're gonna have to stack like a 3 and a 4, but by doing that you have to get 2 3s.
Yeah, it's
essentially.
Weird. And then you have to have Dominate too, so it's just increasing the price of all this. So
yeah, I think it's supposed to be a system to keep people from like power gaming, which is an issue I've had with previous editions, where I'm not here to squash anybody's power fantasies. Like if you want to do that shit, like pop off sis. it's just kind of not a thing I'm particularly interested in as a player or a storyteller, and it drives me insane that people just make characters that have all these cool badass abilities but like no flaws or drawbacks, or they have these cool and badass abilities but it didn't really cost them anything to get that. Like there's no weight to it.
I understand like fighting that, but this just feels like it's taking away character building options, because it's not like they're just pricey. Like if they wanted to keep player options out, or they want to make these harder to get, make it like a 4 or 5 level dot, make it expensive, make it investment to get. You're supposed to be doing the extra stuff like finding blood and like learning these abilities from other people. If you don't want to roleplay that in your game, that's fine. But I think locking them all on one tier and saying, well, that's that clan that you all like, you get one ability that is known for per character.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of lame. I think it could have been balanced better. It could have been spread out.
Yeah, it's like I understand the desire to streamline things. So like I think the amalgam system is not bad. I just think chemistry maybe should have been its own.
It should be, especially
maybe, I don't know, or get swallowed, just fully swallow it into Auspex and call it a day.
I absolutely understand why you would say that a Malkavian should have some of these abilities. It makes sense. Chemistry, I think even would make sense for a Malkavian to have on some levels, and it'd be a good way to make them a little less icky. Like, oh, you're not making that guy experience this mental illness, you're making them suffer blood-powered magic illusions. There you go, problem solved. But I don't get it. It's just like, just pigeonholes it, and it's built out in a way
maybe
that
if it
I
was
just don't
like
dig.
Amalgams, but they were like spread between levels, so it's like this one, instead of being 3, is like a 2, and then something else is a 4, so you can kind of tree it out.
Yeah,
where it's like you're still having to buy all amalgams, but it's like a little more spread out, so you kind of have a tree to, like a feat tree basically to follow.
Yeah, because I believe it's the first level of Kai Mastery is a level 2, and then all the others are level 3s. So it's like you can get the first level, and then like the very basic illusions, and I think you only need like Dominate 1 for that, and some of the others, and then the rest are Dominate 2. So technically you'd have Dominate 2, and then you could buy up the first Kai Mastery and 1 others, and then you'd be done. Which already, that's kind of my biggest bummer, is like, well, what if I don't want to have Dominate? What if I'd rather put my points in my third ability? That's why every time I've made a Ravnos, I always just have to have a dump discipline, basically. Like, it'd be cool to have that, but unfortunately I have to use this ability I don't want to use, just so the rules will let me buy it. Luckily, I've had some nice STs that are like, oh, you want to spend points on that instead of that? It's the same cost. Go ahead. I don't care. Or just like, go ahead and buy multiple at a tier. But I don't know.
But as raw, it's a little like...
It feels anti-fun. It doesn't feel like a balancing mechanic to me. It just feels like an anti-fun, which there's a lot of ways around it.
I've never been a huge fan of the amalgams at all.
I know, buddy. I know.
Why not just make it a little more expensive?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, I think it can be an interesting system if you have players that are... I'm also just a jackknife player, so I like having utility, so the amalgams allow me to be like, okay, cool. I know to get this, I need to have a thing here, so it's forcing me to have this ability and this ability, which I can use in... I'm somebody that likes trying to like piece things together and see if I can make it work.
Well, yeah,
so it doesn't fuck me over too much. But
for that example, like that character may not want to use Dominate at all, because that might not be something that the character is even like morally okay with. That is literally taking the will from someone.
Yeah, Dominate's a fucked up discipline, and people should address that more.
Right, and so like that really sucks that this character, who, you know, what if their feeding type is consensualist and they are like really not cool with taking away someone's autonomy, and now.
But they
literally have to like have Dominate.
Yeah, it's like if you have a character like that, there is space for somebody, because like I've had characters that are super not into Dominate, but I had them have a Dominate discipline because of reasons. And it's either it's a dump stat for a reason that makes no sense, or you need to make sure that you talk with the player in the ST talk and be like, hey, since autonomy and like willpower or like free will is such a theme within the character based on the mechanics that you have built, is this a story beat you want to explore? Because if that's the case, I'm going to have to do X, Y, and Z, which might cross over some lines and veils with you or other people in the story, and I need to make sure this is cool if we're going to explore this as a topic, because it could get kind of uncomf very quickly. If that's a topic you guys want to play, and therefore you have a character that has an ability to do a thing that they don't want to do, and then the storyteller can present them situations where it would be more convenient, or it would be you need to do this to protect people, so is your morality worth the expense of the safety and the whatever of other people?
Right.
Like, yeah, it's like you need to take the steps to make that interesting, or just fucking don't do it.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I feel like all that kind of stuff could be wrapped up in a session 0, and you don't need to have mechanics to force it.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
You know what I mean?
That I like that the mechanics are there as an option.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they also say
Yeah.
like, ignore anything you don't like.
Yes.
It's your fucking game. So
yeah. Golden rule in the core book: if it doesn't fucking work for your game, just change it. It's fine. Don't
Put
worry
in
about
the
it. It's not that
garbage disposal.
deep. These are more guidelines than actual rules.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. But on a more positive
Yes.
note, I really liked the new animalism stuff that
Oh,
was
the
in the
animalism
book.
stuff's fun.
It's all basically abilities that give you control over animals.
More friends.
So it's less
more
like
friends.
I'm becoming the beast and more like animal messenger. You can literally send like a pigeon to someone and then they whisper in someone's ear in your voice kind of thing. There is fucking messenger's command, which is cool. You can use powers like dominate through an animal companion. So you can have a bird land on someone's shoulder and be like, stab him. You Plague of Beasts, which I think would tie really well into with that Nosferatu one.
Mhm.
It's basically just like you're summoning up a bunch of like critters, and then there's Sway the Flock, which just like unnerves all the animals around you, or you can kind of change their vibe.
Oh yeah, that's very I immediately thought of The Omen. Remember that scene where they're going through like the drive-through safari park and the baboons are having none of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's really fun. I put in the notes that these all tie in really well with the new Nosbane. Or if you're doing the Gangrel thing.
Hell yeah.
There's also Coax, the Bestial, which that one actually stirs up the beast in other vampires.
That's kind of
So
cool.
you're still tapping into the beast and that, but it's instead of your own or little critters, you're like, your beast's fucking with you right now.
He getting spicy.
Which always, I love the popularity now within the V5 community of people actually giving a voice and a personality to the beast and people just arguing with their beast. Because I've had a couple of games where the storytellers, we just got really into it, and then he flipped the script, so now it just looks like you are yelling at nothing.
Nice.
And it's like, oh no, my inside thought that was that became an external conversation, didn't it, guys? Oh shit.
That's good.
I'm gonna leave now.
I also like that just in the middle of that animalism line, you just get a power that's that bitchy.
Oh, it's so bitchy. It's so bitchy, and I love a Gangrel or a Nosferatu just being like, oh, you think you're really cool with all of your society and social norms and that, and they just
What happens
mentally
when it starts
reach
breaking
across
down?
and grab that cage and just shake it a little and then walk away. I'm like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah. I dig that.
Yes.
All right, and then we're back on to a bad note.
Oh no.
They have a Protean section in here, but it is
I'm pissed.
just
He's
a
spicy.
reprint of the stuff that was in the V5 companion. There's nothing new.
Literally.
I believe it's identical. I did not break down the mechanics, but from my cursory glance at the two,
It's like I'm glad that it got transferred from the PDF that lots of people for some reason still don't know about, even though it's free.
Yeah.
You can just have it. Having it in a proper like book is nice. Would have been nice if vicissitude stuff got a little more expansion upon.
So what this told me, and this maybe I'm just being like, either petty or, like, this is my favorite. But what this told me is like, as a storyteller, you should kind of let your Zemitzi or whoever's using vicissitude go wild if they want. I mean, they already have to give up a literal point of a physical dot.
Mm-hmm.
Let them go fucking wild. If they're like, I want to replace my humerus with like a sharpened blade so that I can like, if I elbow somebody, it'll push through the skin and cut them. You should be like, did you pay the physical dot? Yeah, done. Good to go.
I mean, that's kind of what I've been
funsies.
doing anyways.
Right. I just like, I know that there are some things can get really intense and crazy, and I don't know.
the one
It just makes me sad that they didn't do anything. Like, at the very least, they should have made flesh crafting able to use not over hours of work.
Like have an option where it's like the ability is at a higher level, but you can do it quicker now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, at a higher level, or even like you have the option of like you can perform a surgery and do a specific thing and it'll take an hour. You know, if you want to open up somebody and put the tube of a shotgun in with one shell so that they can have one shotgun blast in their arm, that's going to take a little while to do.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to make it safe. But if you're wanting to be like, tell me what I want to know. No, I don't want to. Okay, and just grab their arm and bend it. Like, that shouldn't take a fucking hour.
Yeah. Or like just like seal someone's lips together.
Yeah, seal somebody's lips. You just literally smack them in the face, and then their lips are like squished. You already have to make a contested roll.
Yeah, this kind of it's gonna kind of yes and because I've been having to relook at V20 stuff because the LARP game. There is a thaumaturgy path, it's like conjuration stuff, where the lower levels like let you make objects, but at higher levels it allows you to have the objects be permanent, as opposed to like you made a baton, I don't know, you made a stick, but the stick's only here for like the scene and then gone.
Right.
And then at higher levels of the discipline, now you just have a stick. It's mine now. It exists. Fuck you.
Right.
So I feel like the kind of Uno reverse of that would be flesh crafting at the lower levels. Yeah, you can do this stuff, but it takes you a hot minute because it involves a lot of concentration and you're not as skilled at this. And then have it at a higher dot where it's like, oh, you've mastered it at the 3rd or 4th level. Yeah, you can just have kneecaps now.
The thing is, like, so you can get vicissitude, which is vicissitude flesh crafting on yourself and only on yourself. You can't use it on other people. Flesh crafting is what lets you use it on other people. That takes hours. That's a total of 5 dots you have to spend to use this.
Oof.
It's a 3-dot potent or protean with a 2-dot dominate. It's an amalgam. That's a 5-dot. Like, there are people who can do 5 dots that like the Hakata one, where you could just be like, you are dead. Your soul no longer exists. Fucking brutal, intense stuff. But I have to spend an hour and a half to maybe like seal somebody's mouth shut.
Maybe
like, come on, guys.
maybe a fix on this. Keep the power balance where it is. Maybe work out with your storyteller like a mystic level like merit, where it's like you as a Samitsi have the ability because you're so skilled or because of your progenitor, like you're a descendant of so and so who's particularly gifted in flesh crafting. You can do this at whatever speed and have it just be like a merit instead on top of your discipline. So it's like, yeah, you're still paying a cost to do it quicker, but it's like not ridiculous because you've already dumped so much into it.
Right.
Or it's like once per, or like, yeah, you have a merit where like once per session you can do a flesh craft like within a couple of seconds.
Right.
But then if you want to do it again for the rest of the night, you have to do it at the speed of what it says.
Yeah,
there's some potential.
I've tried
to work out some workarounds.
I guess what I'm trying to say is vicissitude and flesh crafting should be able to be used offensively. If I have the ability to mold someone's fucking skin with my touch, you should be able to, like, in a fist fight, not have to use your strength. Instead of using your strength for a punch brawl, use your vicissitude skill or something like that, where it's like you're punching someone, but you're using your blood and the magic of your blood to just move their skin out of the way as you're doing it. You know, something like that. I don't know how to fluff it or make it balanced. I'm just really bummed that they didn't do anything new for Protean at all.
For sure. Maybe we putting a touch to the nose. Can work on a blank body's like, hey, we are offering an alternative option for this if people want to run with it.
Right.
Cool. If not, like, whatever, it's just a freebie option. Something we can work on.
Yeah, we had actually started doing this, Skipper and I, a while ago. We're talking about doing an episode where we updated
Ravnos and Zamitsi.
Yes. Yeah. Because those were both of our favorite clans, or me and I'm kind of tied with Malkavian. But either way, and we both got that book and we're just like,
God damn it.
It's a bummer.
Yeah.
So
I don't mind the vicissitude as much nowadays. I think that as long as your storyteller lets you get kind of weird with it, especially if you're doing the other changes category, like as long as you're allowed to get kind of weird with it. Now, obviously, don't get super overpowered. You can't be like, okay, I'm going to open up my chest, take out all the organs, put a fuel canister in it, run a line down my arm, and now I have a flamethrower in my arm.
I mean, you'd be running Rorschach checks, but like, yeah sure, homie.
Right. I mean, that's cool, but also maybe that should be worked out to be a little bit more intense than maybe you have to use let's see, that'd be
you could do that
successes or something,
You do that to a ghoul who's not supposed to live much longer anyway, though.
Yeah. If they get shot, it's just boom.
Yeah. Well, I also have luck. I'm spoiled on the fact that I, as a storyteller and dealing with Zemetzis, like deal with somebody like you who is really into this and actually spends the time to like research the anatomy and understand what the fuck you're getting into, and you care enough to actually understand this shit. So I'm just like, yeah, no, we can work something out. It's fine. There might be people that are just like into body horror and don't really understand the mechanics of shit, and they might need to get guided a bit more.
Yeah.
And might also suffer from the artist problem I have when people are just like, yeah, I would love to commission you for a piece. And I'm like, sick, what do you want? And they're like, I just want to see you do a thing. And I'm like, fucking don't do that to me. If I don't have boundaries and parameters to work around and have context for, I don't do well creatively. I don't do well with a blank sheet. And I feel like vicissitude flesh crafting in V5 is left so open to interpretation that people don't know what to do with it because it's a blank sheet.
It's kind of like Kai Mystery. It has a similar problem where it's like you create an illusion between this size and this size. And I feel like they may have pushed it a little too far in the other direction. Like, one of the rules is you can't hide any other items in the room. It's like, so if there's a penny, I can't make $1 appear over that penny. Otherwise, that technically breaks the illusion. Like, there's some weird rules with it.
Yeah.
But it does seem like they're just trying to fight, like, what was essentially originally too loose of a rule by just, like, putting it in a cage and shoving it in the don't worry about it corner.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But
I admittedly, the discipline section is a section I've, like, least gone over, just because every time there's vampire discipline sections, it always takes me, like, I have to read it, like, 5 or 6 times before it really processes, and I'll get to it at some point. I had other parts of the book I cared about more.
We'll talk about these more, as we said at the beginning of the episode, when we do episodes for these clans and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And some of these disciplines we are going to talk about a little bit more in depth soonish. Yeah. Like the stuff for thaumaturgy and like the thin blood alchemy. I'm working on it, guys. It's coming. I promise.
Part of me may be just hoping for a skipper, but I know we have the like the blood magic book coming up.
Oh, blood sigils! I'm very excited.
Blood sigils. It's supposed to, some people think it's going to have rituals and other magic and stuff. I'm really hoping that maybe they're going to put more of the Khaldunic sorcery stuff in
cool.
there.
Low key hoping for it.
Yeah. Because I'll give the Tzimisce, I love them, but like they do feel like a shadow of their former selves. The Ravnos are supposed to. They're a dying clan whose progenitor got fucking nuked out of orbit. But
Tzimisces have also kind of always been a dying clan. After like the whole Tremere thing, they've been kind of on the decline.
Look,
but the three
you
of them
didn't
may
have to look
have
at me
split.
so pointedly while you were saying that.
But they may have split and may be coming back. So
yeah. It'd be really cool to see some Khaldunic sorcery. I mean, back in the day, if I remember correctly, you kind of had to choose vicissitude or Khaldunic sorcery. It'd be kind of cool to be able to do a little bit of both. That'd be neat.
Yeah, especially in the context of like the ecological disaster that is our world and Gehenna and stuff, having a resurgence of a branch of Tzimisce that are super into like earth and related. I am the land. Fuck you. Die by lightning. These 6 mortals in particular. Like,
yeah,
that would be kind of sick.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, okay, so like I love also real quick, I just have to say before we move on from Protean or to a different thing entirely, I love the Lasombra. The Hakata are cool, but you don't need 18 fucking discipline powers in Oblivion when Protean has like 4 new ones.
Don't worry, it gets worse.
Oh, I know, because you also have all the Oblivion rituals.
Oh, don't! In this script, I'll make it worse.
Okay. We got some notes.
Great.
I'm not the Hakata is like so annoying for a lot of reasons. Yeah. Not that I'm not a fan of some of the things in we'll get to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool shit, but also like, god damn it.
So the other new thing, there's a bunch of new predator types. I love predator types. Sick. We did a whole episode about them. I highlighted a couple that I thought were really cool.
I've had a couple people tell me their use of Updog, and it makes me so fucking pleased every time. Thank you, everybody. It's
we recently had someone join the server. It's like, well, I'm playing a character with Updog, so I figured I'd join the server and see how it was going. So.
Yes, homies.
Yes. But the new ones that I liked were Montero, which is kind of like the old they attribute in the book to the aristocratic Spaniards and their mounting of the Monteria, a deer hunt in which a team of beaters drive game onto spears, and later guns of the Montero or the huntsman. It's also, like English hunting dogs rooting out rabbits for people on horseback. It's a very traditional, and essentially this is how you get humans for blood.
Yeah, I'm going to be straight up. When I first read Montero, I got the song stuck in my head and I was like, if there's not a stripper pole to hell, I'm going to be a little upset. And I was a little upset. But it went from like, oh, damn, there's no lap dancing on Satan. And then it turned into, oh, no, it's people hunting. Fuck. No. No.
This one's really cool.
But it's the worst kind of rich people like people hunting. So it's not like you in the woods, like hunting people down with a knife or any like actually badass thing. It's like the equivalent of rich guy big game hunting where like the lion is in a fenced area and you have like park rangers helping you do this because you paid them money so they can keep running their lion preserve level of just like, oh, God damn it.
I feel like this is something that Ellis, my Ventru in Chicago, has tried. And it was probably not his bag, but he's definitely done it. He probably hosts these parties once a year for some of the club members.
Oh, like the biannual, like grounds hunt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say if you wanted to have Ellis like change predator types for a campaign, if that's something you're interested in, I am happy to explore that because I felt like this was like super up his bag.
Yeah. Ellis is my Ventru who owns a club outside of the limits of Chicago where he and other people hunt humans for sport. Like they have a big hedge maze where they're like, all right, what? And then there's like a 3-story clubhouse where you can sit on the balcony and watch as someone gets fucking chased down and eaten.
It's great. I love it so fucking much. I've low-key been like, I kind of want to write a lore sheet for this if you're cool with it.
I want to use that character in a game. It just, no one's done a Chicago thing. If anyone's playing a Chicago game and needs a Ventru, let me know.
If I can get my fucking spoons together, if people are interested in us, even if it's just like an audio version of us running this game, I'm down. I just need to get my shit together.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Because I miss our little Chicago game with our psychopath friends.
Yay.
Yes, you are all delightful.
So the Montero predator type gives you a dot of dominate or obfuscate, and you automatically lose a dot of humanity. Like
as you
that
should.
Makes sense.
As you fucking should.
Sense. The other one I thought was really cool was trapdoor.
So good.
This one's more like Saw was where my brain first went. Or just any dungeon in D&D, honestly. But like the trapdoor spider, you build your nest and lure your prey into it. You may lurk in an amusement park dark ride or a steamy Turkish bath. Stupid notification. You haunt a house or manage a fight club, but your victims come to your place of power. So essentially, you run a spot that ends up being the killing ground.
That's a really cool Zemitzi one.
That's a really cool Zemitzi one. Okay, my brain popped off recently, so I don't... There's a music artist I do enjoy named Scene Queen, and she did a song recently called 18 Plus, calling out all like the shitty pop punk like groomer guys. A shitty band groomer guy who like lures people onto the tour bus would be a good trapdoor spider. I'm just like, it's super gross, but I'm like, oh,
I hate that.
I hate it, but it would be good.
It'd be good and disgusting and good and villainous.
Free antagonist, everyone.
Yep.
To double down on what you said for Zemitzi, this one gives you 1 dot of Protean or Obfuscate.
There we go.
You either hide or grab.
Yeah.
Then there is also the last one I really liked, and it's the saddest one.
It's so good, though.
But it's a Grim Reaper, also known as a plague rat. You only feed on those about to die. You seek out hospice care, assisted living homes, and shelters. So essentially, you could almost go Dr. Sleep with it, too, if you've seen that movie. But essentially, you're helping people pass on comfortably. Or even if you're not drinking them to death, you're giving them moments of comfort in uncomfortable times.
Right. I just like this is a good alternate trying to do a high humanity character or do something compassionate. You can go Dr. Kevorkian with it. If you want to go slightly dark-sided with it, you can go very like Angel of Death, like Plague, like I am the one who decides when they go, blah, blah, blah.
So what I was thinking about earlier is playing a Toreador with the new Clan Bane and using this as your freeding type.
Oh.
Right?
Damn.
Because you're giving them a mercy and you feel that mercy, but you also feel the pain of passing. and how like tragic and beautiful that is. And I don't know, your love of beauty could be the beauty of, you know,
This is such an
watching someone
Anne Rice
pass.
fanfic
Right,
character.
I mean, it's good though,
It's
isn't
so
it?
good,
It's a
but
good
also
Toreador.
goddamn.
Again,
Oh.
have you seen Doctor Sleep?
Uh-uh.
It really gives me those vibes.
Really?
It's a sequel to The Shining, and it's about like Danny as an adult and
I need
his
to give it a
shining
shot. I
powers.
heard it was really not very good.
I love it, but here's the thing: it's nothing like The Shining.
Okay. Okay.
It starts off and there's actually some really cool tribute scenes to that original movie, but it is like Stephen King, like Dark Tower, him continuing a story, and it's about Danny as an adult, having to deal with like the fucked up shit he went through, and also while still having all these crazy psychic powers.
Okay, cool.
Which, I mean, psychic powers, so you know I'm all aboard.
Yeah,
but like,
for sure.
it's good.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this one is it gives you 1 dot of Auspex or Oblivion,
Oh, I love that.
and then you get Pre-Exclusion Healthy Mortals.
I love that. He's doing too good.
It is cool.
Oh god, I just had the worst idea. It's a great idea, but it's also very a vampire that was just like roving the COVID wards.
Oh
Ooh.
God! Why do you make all these disgusting things?
Because I am a storyteller and I'm constantly making horrible characters
I mean, I guess it
to
could
give
still
you
be looked
guys
on as a
something
mercy,
to yeah, it could like somebody who's trying to do a mercy. There could be the mercy version, or there could just be somebody that's like, I'm trying to fucking mitigate the disaster. It is like, look, this because during the heights of things, it gave very like, oh, society's going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have like this weird vampire that's just like, I need to cull these mortals that are fucking idiots and keep eating ivermectin and not getting boosters and da-da-da-da-da. I'm doing this to help preserve society, like for the greater good, like which is super fucked up and should be something that is not a good thing in your game. But yeah, I like trying to encourage players to deal with morality and like, yeah, vampires are all bastard men from Bastard Island and they're not necessarily going to be good people, but like trying to encourage those characters to do a morally good thing or give them something so horrifying that they have to be like, whoa, what the fuck? Okay, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm not a good person, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Ugh. So yeah, I'm just constantly just making up fucking monsters and they just kind of sit there in the back of my head going like, you're not going to be fun if I have to use you, but you know,
Here we are.
you exist now.
I do have to say I'm proud that the other two, you're like, these are the worst things I thought of. And then for the first one, you're like, I thought of your Ventru first. It's like, I'll take that as a compliment.
I love Ellis so much as a character, but it's one of those like, Ellis is a lot of things that I absolutely fucking hate about rich people. And there's a lot of, you know, he's not expanded to the point of doing like big social engineering projects that like Bill Gates has done or fucking Elon Musk is trying to do and failing at. But because of the Hunt Club, there is this kind of like social engineering. I am entitled to decide like whether people are worthy to be hunters or be the hunted kind of a thing.
It's very Most Deadly Game.
Yeah. There's
Most
a lot
Dangerous
of
Game.
there's a lot of really interesting shit in there, and like for stories and like getting into the philosophies of it, I find it really fucking interesting. But like I, as a person, I'm just like, if I could set Ellis on fire, I fucking would.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you think Ellis would like have tryouts for his ghouls, or some of them where he's just like, hunt this person down. If you can do it within this much time, I'll ghoul you.
Maybe with like paint guns though.
Maybe so. I never really saw that Ellis that way when business, because killing is like a pleasure. It's like his hobby to him. When he runs a business, I always viewed him as more that very like middle of the road libertarian, the kind who's like, it doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman, black or white. Do they do the job I paid them to do or not? Like, it doesn't matter if my fucking accountant knows how to strangle out a person in a bush.
Right.
Like, can
Like
they
that's
do math?
me time.
Yeah, that's
me
what I
time.
do when I need to wind down.
Okay, gotcha.
Like
Cool.
I'm more efficient and effective as a businessman if I take the time to like do my hobbies.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't want to mix my hobbies with my work because then it's just all fucked up.
I mean, he's already done that
But-
by running the club out of his. But you know,
But you know,
It's different. It's different.
it's different when I do it.
I mean, he got him some domain from Jackson
Oh, it
outside
did.
Chicago. So
Well, yeah, because it's just like, oh yeah, it was. You basically have this fiefdom where he's like, okay, cool, I'm slowly expanding upon my empire and doing it by, you set up this establishment here, we're gonna see how it goes. If it's successful, we can integrate you into Chicago proper. And if it doesn't go well, I can just cut you off, fine, whatever. But in the meantime, you're a really convenient way for me to get rid of people I don't want to fucking deal with.
Oh yeah, there's anyone can be up on part of the games.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just like, and it's good for you because then you're like, I am able to get some notorious, like challenging people to be hunted down.
Yeah,
which is like fun for you and your beast and whatnot. And then you're also like helping a homie and like building up your dignitas within the venture. So it's like fucking win on win on win.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes you help out specific people in town and be like, I know you don't like werewolves. Let's go find one. That'll entertain my friends. Like that was basically. I don't think we actually played it out. We lampshaded that side story, but
I left the implications there mostly to scare the shit out of the other people in the coterie.
Yeah. We're almost done.
I think that Alec, every time you guys talked about it, Alec was like, "That's really cool. I'll just stand up in the observation booth. You guys can."
Yeah, Alex
I'll be up here where it won't hit me.
Alex just like, I don't approve of this, but I'm not going to say anything. Me and my kink ghoul are just going to be over here, consensually just being weird.
Yep. We look kind of like aliens. Hi.
Hi, we are French Canadian. We're like, yep, we believe that.
So, wrapping up, one of the last things in the book I wanted to talk about a little bit more in depth, because I was really excited and also like kind of bleh when I read through it, was the new lore sheets. The lore sheets are great. They're one of my favorite things in every book. I think I mentioned that on a recent episode. Like they give you so much background in the world and stuff. So we got 7 new ones. All 7 of them are Hakata bloodlines.
There's so many fucking Hakata lore sheets.
Fucking damn it.
Yeah, you get the Cappadocians, the Duncern, the Giovanni, the Lamia, the Nagaraja, the Samiti, and the Tenochtitlan.
Yeah.
Which, like, I used to love the Samiti. Like, they're a cool clan that I wanted to see more of. Like, I'm glad to see them. It's good to see these, but it is also just, like, so much.
Yeah, and some of that stuff does exist in the Cult of the Blood Gods book with all the Hakata shit. I have a weird soft spot for the Banks of Dunsire because they are Scottish, and I love that their whole thing is literally just like, what if we made Scrooge McDuck a fucking vampire bloodline? And I'm just like, that's hilarious.
Nice.
Hell fucking yeah.
I wonder if they're in a secret war with the gnomes of Zurich.
Probably. I mean, I would love to be allowed to play a Dunsire Hakata and have to get into like financial fightings with a Ventrue and just watch me kick their fucking ass. It'd be sick.
That's fun. I do like that there's a lot of lore here about what's been happening with the Giovanni, the Cappadocians, and the Duncern, and the family reunion and all that. That stuff's really cool.
It's really fucking cool.
I was just hoping for more when I saw lore sheet section.
Yeah, I agree. I love that the Hakata. Well, the Hakata are also just a really dense clan now because there's so many bloodlines in them that like they do need that kind of space. I absolutely get it. I really appreciate the pushes that V5 has put into doing more inclusion and being more world aware. There are clans that are literally set up for that are not getting that attention. I'm directly looking at the Banu Hakim. And I would love to have had more lore sheets that like got into some of the multiculturalism, because that's a clan that exists in an area where there's so many different cultures and religions and backgrounds that you could just get a wealth of great stories from. And also just in the context of fighting with the Gehenna and just because of all of the conflict in regions where that clan exists, you can get a lot of like Second Inquisition based storylines that are really fucking cool. And I would fucking love that.
Or at the very least, a further breakdown of their like classes.
Yeah, because they had a whole caste system talking about that at all.
That would have been neat.
And I know we're supposed to be able to keep all the old books as reference and stuff, but for a new player, I think Banu Hakim are one of the ones that do stick out like specifically as interesting versus the rest. And I mean, the old books, they don't even have the same name. So if you don't know what to look for, you're not even going to find those old books, which is something we're going to have to talk about when we do the episode on them.
Yep.
Eventually.
Yep. I got opinions, and also going to be reaching out to other people because I own the fact I am not from these cultures. I am learning. I love a lot of stuff, but getting context from other people is good. And please send me info because I am a dumb American.
Yeah. My other gripe, it goes along with what I was talking about earlier in the discipline section, but like they still don't have any. You're going to give 7 to the Hakata. Can we at least get 1 for the Ravnos or the Zamitzi or the Salubri?
Mm-hmm.
because they've only before been mentioned in the V5 companion.
Mhm.
So I was hoping that since every other clan has at least one exclusive, we would get
Like
one there.
descendant of somebody, like at least be like, hey, there's a cool NPC from this clan.
Descendant of Sasha. Everybody fucking loves Sasha.
Fuck right.
Like, that'd be sick as shit.
Like we need that trans icon, god damn it.
Right.
Especially this climate right now. Fuck it.
Right. That'd be sick as a... Ugh.
Yeah.
All right,
Let-
look.
Let yourself buy your way up the 7 remaining Salubri, or
Mhm.
however many it is now. Like
yeah.
you're number 13. You know the clan exists, and you're on your way to enlightenment. You're numbered. You know, you
Mhm.
move up, and you get a little more info as you move up the lore sheet. That would be
Yeah.
sick. That alone, you can still leave it loose for STs to be like, they're actually doing this, because we'll get into them more when we do an episode of them. They're always the mysterious, quiet boys anyway. But
Mhm.
like, give us some.
Yeah, and fucking God, you could just do a second version of the Week of Nightmares for the Ravnos entirely, where it's just Ravnos space specifically going, okay, your sire went through the Week of Nightmares, or you went through the Week of Nightmares, or yeah, there's just tons of shit. Or like you're still dealing with the PTSD of the Week of Nightmares, and this is how it affects you, or you've built a mutual aid network of survivors, and this is how you are able to get extra resources. Like there's tons of shit.
Mhm.
Like, one thing that we played in a game on our server recently, I was playing a Ravnos, and it happened during the Week of Nightmares.
Oh,
happened in the
no!
middle of our campaign.
No.
Most of my clan's dead, and I couldn't tell if I was going crazy or if my powers were no longer illusions, but just happening. So that
Mhm.
was something I had to deal with, like things like that. Like, what the fuck happened to you when everything broke and you heard your dad screaming in your head to death for a week? Like that,
And
could
also
be sick.
calling you for being like, bring me a beer. You are the beer. And you're just like, no, help, help. Also, why is the sky purple? Why? What?
But yeah, so that was a disappointment. But I do have to say, if you're into those clans, and there are some cool ones, it is good to see them get there. So I'm not complaining. I don't think this content is bad. I was just hoping for a little more.
Like,
Yeah.
I hope our gripes are not coming off as like ungrateful. We love what is there. There's just a few things we had hoped would have been expanded upon, and hopefully will be.
If I can be 100% honest, this goes back even to like the original V1 of Vampire. It's just like the mob family stuff just never interested me. So like the Hakata, a lot of it is just not my cup of tea. And I completely own that I just, I don't give a shit. I don't want to play Vampire Godfather. That it turned me off from that clan and a lot of that lore early. And maybe we'll fix that when we get to those episodes, because I haven't read those since I was probably like 16. Might have a different perspective these days. But I also just have always loved like the Samiti and the Lamia. So seeing them in there was cool.
Yes.
But like, I wish they got more focus then,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that everything that I've seen in here is really neat, but like you said, Sarah, I think that it almost feels like the pet clans got a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then these other things that we kind of thought of later, well, they're here.
Yeah.
Because it almost seems like if it was in the companion,
Mm-hmm.
then they didn't really do much of anything with it in here. It looks like. I mean, I could be wrong, but
Yeah, and there's also more building out with the ministry I would also like to see, because that's also a clan that exists in an area that's not Eurocentric, and there's a lot of room for expansion, and this being an avenue of like, hey, we are going to present storytelling and role-playing options that will allow people to get outside of their fucking box and go experience other parts of the world and share really cool cultural stories from our neighbors and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm a gay kid from the 2000s, so like I like Egyptian shit. I love the Mummy. We could get in more into that shit, or other options, or how different socioeconomic groups are going to be dealing with being vampires and just things that I wish and hope will get expanded upon more officially. Not that there aren't players and groups that are like doing fucking amazing shit with this, and I would hope to see more of it, and I want to see it. And if you want to share it in the server and with us, cool. Happy to highlight that shit. Yeah. Am I good to, are we good to talk about the little section in the back?
Yeah, so the last thing I had was just a little highlight of some basically everything else and previews of stuff that we'll probably talk about in other episodes. I know one of the big ones that you want to talk to, I put up first, Sarah, was a Considerate Play.
I appreciate it. That was literally, I got this book and I cracked that section first, because I feel like that section, well, I'm glad it's an appendix basically in the back and they go into detail on things. More times than not, I'm like, hey, if you're grabbing any World of Darkness material, I recommend you go to the Consider It Play section first and just read the whole thing. Read it. Don't skim it. Read it. Unfortunately, we will be skimming it here because we have plans to do another consent episode talking about this shit. But I really appreciate that in the new merits and flaws section, which I love almost everything in there. It's great expansions and also like streamlining of rules in the core book that were very confusing when we did our merits and flaws episodes and some of that. But there's talks about power dynamics between players and characters, especially because there are going to be troops that are like, hey, I as a player would like to play the ghoul of another player character. So you do need to have those consent talks about the power dynamics in the game, where the comfies are, and make sure everybody's like understanding of where everything is, and be prepped for handling bleed and handling making sure you're handling everything respectfully, if that makes sense, hopefully. Yeah. So having a dedicated section for that, having a section that's dedicated to discussing other cultures and religions and being like, hey, if you're the storyteller, you better be prepared to have people in your world that do not look like you and do not sound like you and do not believe how you do, because that's how the world works.
Yep.
And you need to handle that responsibly and also understand that, like, it's going to be a learning curve for everybody, and have the grace to, if you fuck up, talk about it openly and move the fuck on. And also maybe when you make antagonists, don't have all of your antagonists be exotic characters, quote unquote, or be stereotypes, because that sucks.
Yeah. You don't need to other someone just to make them a villain.
Yeah, the villain doesn't need to be othered because it's like a guy that is from the south side of Chicago. It's like, yeah, just because you're from the south side of Chicago and yeah, you're coming from like possibly like a gang background or any of that kind of shit, doesn't necessitate that makes you less of a person or should dehumanize you any more than like a rich guy in the north side that's just being a fuck and running basically a mafia, because somehow being in a mafia is more respectable than being in a gang, even though you're basically doing the exact same shit.
Well, you wear suits, you see.
Motherfuckers in gangs can wear suits. I've seen that shit. I've been to some house shows that were a little sketch. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm glad they keep putting these sections in.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like kind of expanding on them each time they do.
Oh, yeah. No, the fact that they're building upon it is just, it makes me so happy. I'm just like, good, because it's not just like a copy-paste of the shit from the core book.
Yeah.
Which I will forever stand by the V5 core book, just being like, hey, so if you're being a Nazi, maybe stop playing the game and go get help.
Yeehaw!
I will forever stand by that. I'm like, you can dislike various things with the new system. Unfortunately, because of the political world we live in, we do have to set some gatekeepy boundaries of like, hey, if you're gonna be that level of a fuck nugget, like, no.
Yeah.
Peace.
I also, I don't know. I feel like for a game like Vampire, I think it's really important to probably reiterate on this and update it as new content comes out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's important in any game, but let's be real. I think a fantasy D&D game about a bunch of gay adventurers like stealing magic artifacts is less likely to run into a lot of the really squick-ass subjects that a modern vampire game's gonna get into.
Oh, for sure.
Like, this is a dark horror game, and there's a lot more that needs to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, other systems can probably get away with, like, lampshading behind fantasy and comedy and...
Mm-hmm.
But, like, being considered is going to be a lot harder when you're just dealing with the real fucking world the way it is for 90% of it, plus some vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Yeah. Also going to highlight the fact that the Consider It Play section has a section about sex, seduction, and romance, and the first section of it is consent. Immediately. Nice. And I'm like, good.
Nice.
That should be there. And, you know, just making sure people are, like, comfy with, like, hey, if you guys want to discuss intimate things in your game, totally cool. Just make sure everybody's cool with it. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's great. A whole section about mutual respect. I love that the authors also had we're going to talk about playing Malkavians and mental health respectfully section. I'm like, good, yay! Hooray! I'm so glad you also had the same thought we did, where we're like, that just needs to be its own fucking section, because fuck.
Yeah.
World of Darkness writers, you can go ahead and put us in the credits in the very back of the book. If you want,
We can't be the only
just put
group that has
Blade
had
Bodies,
this conversation.
the very
Like, there's
bottom
no
there.
fucking way. We can't be the only ones.
We're very loud people.
We are very loud and we're funny. So, like, hell yeah.
Especially, though, in my opinion, it's just, I don't care personally, but, have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's also just...
I mean, that's part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, as someone who has suffered mental illness, temporary and not, if it shows up in a game, it doesn't really bother me at all personally. Whether it's handled respectfully or not. Honestly, I've read enough Lovecraft and stuff that I'm just used to. I get the trope. It's fine with me, but other people may not feel that way, and it's something you need to discuss because I might throw something into my game that someone might not be cool with in either direction.
Yep.
So, was there anything else we wanted to say on Considerate Play?
Not at this moment. It's more of a... I am planning a third part of the consent and roleplay. This stuff will get more deep dived then. I just wanted to highlight hey, if you get the player's guide, I highly recommend the first thing you do is you just crack to that section and fucking read it. It's like 3 pages of super great info that everybody, storytellers, players, everybody should just fucking have rattling around in your brain. Because these are skills that, whilst really good and helpful for game, especially if you want to do like a mature and or edgy games, these are also just skills that are good to have in life and carry on into other fields.
Yes, that's true.
Hell yeah.
And the rest of these we're going to kind of barrel through, but these are things we'll probably touch on more in future episodes, and if they sound interesting to you, let us know. There is an expanded section on like skills, backgrounds, and character creation that's like kind of clarifying and fixing some things, errata, if you will.
And also adding some new shit, and all the new shit I'm just like, yes.
That's the section I skimmed while putting this together because I know we've done episodes on those.
Yeah, we've somewhat recently done a thing on merits and flaws. They've expanded upon them. There's some really good merits and flaws of like, oh, this would be really useful, or oh, this could be really dark.
Nice.
I love this. These are all like merits and flaws that are really good plot hooks, essentially, which is what I think a merit and flaw should be, is like all these are just like plot hooks to give to your storyteller. To be like, hurt me with these.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, they also have a section on playing ghouls and mortals. We have done our first ghouls episode, but we might do an episode on actually playing as ghouls, or an episode on, playing as mortals. Not hunters, but mortals in this game. I think that could be interesting. But I believe those sections are basically reprints from the V5 companion from
pretty
what
much.
I saw.
Yeah, pretty much like, hey, the stuff that was in here is now in a book.
Yeah. And then what I thought Sarah would be really excited about to do episodes about, they actually have a whole section on projects, like how to run long-term projects. So if, say, your character isn't trying to do something that's not just a single dice roll or two, like I think the example specifically is I want to become the whip of the city. That's going to take a little more work than I'd like to go get a bagel. It's how you plan. Like,
I don't know. Keeping that bagel down might be a.
I didn't say anything about keeping it down, baby.
Yeah, you just said getting the bagel. They didn't say what the use of the bagel was.
All right,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
See, what you do is you take the bagel and you tie it on a string, put it on the end of a stick, and this is how you trapdoor somebody.
Yeah, that's. You use the cartoon hobo method of feeding.
Yes.
Yeah, there's also
They'll just float by their nose in the air all the way to you.
There's also a expanded section on touchstones.
Yes.
Which we haven't done a touchstones episode, have we?
Not particularly, no. Just kind of went over it as a concept, but my rough plans, a little behind the scenes thing for the listeners. Hello. Howdy. Magic basics, which will cover like thaumaturgy, thin blood alchemy, rituals, all that kind of shit. Is in the works. Also planning on doing a deep dive into that free splat they gave on expanded combat rules, and also a projects episode is in the works. So
cool.
Yeah, so I was kind of half trying to wait until this guide was out to get those really cranked out, because I wanted to make sure I had the full context.
Yeah, there's no reason to have to make an updated episode a month after, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And also I just feel like that would be kind of screwing over the listeners, being like, yeah, I wrote this episode. It's kind of half empty because I don't have all of my notes yet, so thanks.
And then the final thing along these lines too that I thought was really interesting, but we should probably do an episode before I even touch it, is there's a lot of new information on coterie types and coterie rules, and I know we've done that a little bit, but
Yeah, we did the core book coteries stuff. I think having hey, so we have more information on coteries and whatnot, so we're probably going to do a coteries part 2.
from my reading of it, it's all new and more complex coterie rules than what was there previously. So even I, at a glance at it, needed to take another read or two at it to really get what it was doing. So
Yeah, so there'll probably be a coteries part 2 in the pipeline.
yeah.
And research on Nosferatu's on the plate.
Yep. I also have another episode in the work as well with some more freebie stuff that came out at some point.
You guys haven't bought me my tub pool yet, or my corn tub yet.
Yeah,
so
we
I don't have an episode for you, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you want to see Skipper get his middies out in a fishnet whilst also consuming corn and answering fan questions, check out our Patreon. We have a joke tier for that.
I will start a Twitch for it.
Unfortunately, you guys wanted me to change it to a goal.
It is a goal.
But Patreon is getting rid of goals. So
damn it, so it will become
really?
a tier?
yeah, so it's already $1,000 tier and it's just gonna stay there. It's no longer a goal. It has to be. Patreon said the second we put that up, Patreon was like, no, sir.
No, Skipper's chest is too powerful. We have to nerf this.
Yes. So
I'm sorry, I'm like
God's not ready.
I'm sorry, I'm like objectifying you and basically digitally putting you on the street corner
Yeah.
for the show.
I mean, if I get a hot tub out of it, like
I mean, that's fair.
No, I'll get a hot tub because
It's my-
I'm
look,
the only one with a yard.
it is my hot tub. We're just keeping it in your yard.
I have a back
That's
garden.
part of the $1,000.
I have a back garden. I have
rent.
room. I could put it there. It's just I pay rent, so I will have to move it again. But I have space for it technically.
I have a bathroom.
Anyway, if you don't want to pay $1,000 to buy us a corn tub, but you do like what you're hearing and you'd like to support us, we do have a bunch of different tiers. There's a $5 basic support tier, gets you into our special Discord Patreon chat, which is a special room inside of our free open to the public Discord. You get Discord title with all of these. You also get things like voting on polls, what we do in episodes. We're putting together a show notes and resources Bible right now. We have a tier that gets you character sketches by Sarah for $25. You get a black and white sketch. You do that for a year, you'll get a full color little drawing.
Yeah, we can discuss the deets on that, but yeah.
Yeah. And then there's also a $100 blood tier. So, go check us out on Patreon.
I've had a goodie box for this tier that I've just slowly been adding to as it sits there. It's a little unhinged now.
And I don't know what's in it.
Me neither.
I've told no one.
I've bled into things for projects before, but I don't know if that's blood has gotten there.
Don't worry about it. Look.
Don't send my blood to anybody. That sympathetic magic is serious stuff.
You can send someone something else and tell them it's my blood.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The shifty eyes are not comforting.
Anyway, we're also on Twitter at blank_bodies. We have a TikTok at Blank Bodies Podcast. We have a Instagram and a Tumblr at Blank Bodies Pod. And Twitter, I'll be honest, that's where we post most of the time. Others are mostly me fucking around. At this point, Sarah's doing videos over on the TikTok.
I took a bit of a hiatus on the TikTok because I have been going through personal shit. I'm sorry I've neglected that. But I appreciate everybody that's been kind and understanding and being supportive of me going through the ringers. And I'm hoping I'll get back onto that pony show before the government bans the fucking app. So
if not, well, we'll find another soon-to-be banned app.
Hell yeah.
But I also do interviews. I'm looking to start doing a couple of those more soon. So if you're interested in coming on the show and talking to me about your project, whether it's tabletop, horror, music, vampire related, if you are a vampire, if you have been fed on by a vampire and want to tell me about your encounter, actually I would do a whole episode where I just talk to people who have been fed upon.
A Blood Doll interview I think would be kind of dope.
I'd like to be part of that.
Let's do an Art Bell open lines night where it's just me answering calls from the fed upon.
Yes.
That just tweet at us and let us know if you want that as a weird Twitch stream.
That could be fun.
That could be funny.
But either way, I want to thank y'all for listening to us and hanging out with us and watching me flap. Well, not watching, but listening to us flap our gums. Just like that. Well,
the Zamiti's getting out of hand.
Yeah, we're running out of time. So good night and goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So So I have to get up and walk across the room to hit stop now.
That's
so
amazing.
there's now a little extra as my voice slowly fades away.